Hello there. My name is Sebastian Beaumont. I'm with the Faith and Spirituality team, and I'm going to be spending the next 6 weeks teaching you how to meditate. So this course is a cumulative course of 6 weeks, so you'll be taught gradually more instructions about how to meditate, what happens when we meditate, and why it's a good idea. You can do all of the classes, but each class will also be a standalone class, so you can do it just on its own if that would suit you better. What I'm going to do with all classes is I'll start with a 3-minute sit just to bring us into the space. And it's a good idea, if you can, to sit on a chair, like a dining chair, somewhere where you can sit comfortably and alertly without reclining or leaning against the back of the chair. So a chair in which you can have an alert posture. So if you don't have that at the moment, but have access to a chair of that kind, it might be worth pausing this video and then coming back when you have the right sort of chair to sit on. So what I'd like you to do is sit on a suitable chair, or just make do if you haven't got something of that kind, and get yourself into an alert posture. So that would be feet shoulders apart if you're sitting on a chair, back upright, not leaning against the back of the chair. If you do that, you're likely to become sleepy or stodgy or silted in your experience. So sitting alert with your hands resting perhaps on your thighs so that they're well supported, so that your arms are well supported, and you're able to sit for as long as you need to in comfort. So you can adjust your posture if you need to, but sitting here, each class will last approximately 40 minutes, and we'll start off with 3 minutes of arrival starting now. So even in 3 minutes, not hurrying into a meditation, just allowing everything to be as it is, and noticing how you're feeling, what's going on in the body. Just having a sense of yourself sitting here, what's going on for you, so anything that you might be hearing, anything that you might be seeing. If you're not used to meditating, it's worth meditating to start off with, probably with your eyes closed if you feel comfortable, closing your eyes, and just allowing everything to be exactly as it is, just for a little while. So being aware of any sounds from outside, sounds from in the room. Just noticing if you can see anything behind your closed eyes. And paying attention to the rhythm of the breathing, noticing the rhythm of the breath as you breathe in and breathe out. Noticing the feeling of that in the body. And allowing that to be exactly as it is. So we're just noticing, we're not making any judgment about what we're feeling, we're just noticing it. We're just coming to an end of this 3 minutes, and just gently allowing yourself to come back into present experience, and when you're ready, opening your eyes and making yourself comfortable. So, whatever was going on in your mind during those 3 minutes was just right for a meditation. So if meditation is a kind of noticing, then the content of what's going on in your mind is irrelevant. People often feel they need to be particularly calm or particularly one thing or another in order to be able to meditate. But actually, the starting point of meditation is wherever you are right now. So actually, whatever is going on in your head, no matter how busy, no matter how many thoughts are whirring around, no matter how anxious or calm or happy you might be, all of that is a perfect place to start, because we're just simply starting wherever we are. So I'm going to say one or two things about what meditation is and what it isn't, to give some sort of context for what we're going to be doing over the next 6 weeks. So the first thing is meditation is not. So meditation is not, it's not going blank or stopping your thoughts. It's not self-hypnosis. It's not an escape from the world, because actually it brings the world right up close. You become face to face with your experience. It's not about achieving something or getting into a special state, and it's not therapy. It's not about fixing me. It's not a good opportunity to go to sleep, although that does happen from time to time. And it's not surreptitiously trying to make you religious. So I'm a Buddhist, I'm wearing my Buddhist collar here, but actually religious people can meditate, non-religious people can meditate, so that can be a bit of a side issue. And it's not about making yourself feeling more calm and less anxious. And I need to just unpick that a little bit with you to be clear about why I'm saying that. So meditation is an inquiry into what is happening. Reduction of anxiety is a common byproduct of meditation over time. But the thing is that if you start out wanting to be less anxious, then what you might do is you might prevent an open inquiry into what is happening. So if you're trying to become calm or become less anxious, then you have an agenda in meditation, and that might prevent meditation from happening at all. When we're open to experience, feelings and thoughts may come up that you have repressed, and those feelings and thoughts may be anxious or may be frustrated or angry or all sorts of things. And this is positive because you're releasing repression of those things. But actually, in some meditations, you might find yourself more anxious or more agitated rather than less so. And the temptation, if you're trying to become calmer, is to see those meditations as failed meditations, when in fact they have been successful. So while you meditate, if you're not careful, if you're saying, I can't be angry or I can't be anxious, then what you might do is you might start repressing those emotions instead of allowing them to be there, which is what we're trying to do. We're trying to notice what's going on and allow it to be there without judgment. So yeah, I think that's hopefully quite clear. So the principle really is that wanting or not wanting your experience is the problem in meditation. Allowing your experience to be your experience is what we would hope that you'd be able to do over time, and hopefully you'd be able to do that more effectively. Okay, what meditation is, so let's look at that. So effective meditation is being with what is, being what is happening now with openness, with curiosity, with receptivity, and with alertness. It's an attempt to see how your mind works and the stories that you tell about yourself. It's an investigation into experience, so it doesn't deny subjective experience, but it does recognize that subjective experience is constructed and filtered. It's also what we might refer to as self-authenticating, which means that it relies on personal experience rather than a set of beliefs. You have to do it to find out about it. It's not me-centric, and it doesn't have an end point. It will never stop opening up. There isn't an end point to it. So what happens is that when we notice experience without trying to manipulate it and without having a goal or an agenda to get calmer or whatever, then that is open meditation, and over time it has fantastic benefits. So what we're going to look at today is we're going to look at a particular meditation. This is the meditation that we're going to be doing each week throughout the 6 weeks, and it's called the Mindfulness of Breathing. There are loads of different kinds of meditation, and the reason why I've chosen this one for the course is it's the most common meditation throughout the world, and there's a good reason for that. Regardless of tradition, it's the most common meditation across the world. So this is because the breath is always with us. If you want to have an object of meditation, then a good object of meditation is the breath. Some people would use other kinds of objects like chanting or going to particular places that are evocative for them, looking at a candle, that kind of thing. But actually the breath is with us all the time. It's portable. It is with us when we take our first breath, and it's there until we take our last breath. And it's also ever-changing, and this is one of the particular things about the mindfulness of breathing. The breath is ever-changing, and so you can pay attention to it more easily and be focused on it more easily than a lot of other objects of meditation. So what we do, I'll talk us through this and we'll have a go at it together. The breath is something that we simply pay attention to. We don't try and change it. We don't try and judge it or anything like that. We start off with counting it. So this meditation, the meditation I'm going to teach you, comes in 2 parts, where we count the breath and then where we drop the counting of the breath. The reason for counting the breath is that counting gives us an anchor. We can tell when we have drifted off. If the counting goes awry, or if we lose track of the counting, then that's a good way of knowing that we have drifted off, and then we have the opportunity to come back to the breath. The purpose of this is to just simply come into some kind of present experience, and what I'll do is I will unpack what that means over the next few weeks so that we can have more of a sense of exactly why we would do this, why we would come back into present experience over and over again when we drift off. Okay, so rather than say any more about it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take us through a led meditation on the breath. So we will do a 2-stage mindfulness of breathing meditation. I'll ring a bell to begin the meditation. I'll ring a bell in the middle at the change of the stage. I'll ring a bell at the end of the meditation. So if you'd like to get yourself into a steady posture, sitting on a chair if you can, your feet firmly planted on the ground, about shoulder level apart, shoulder width apart, hands resting somewhere. They could be folded in your lap or they could be resting on your thighs, but somewhere where they feel comfortable and they're not causing any kind of tension across your shoulders. Your arms are hanging just easily at your side, not pulling yourself forward or anything like that. So you're in a stable posture with upright back. looking straight ahead and perhaps slightly down a little bit so that your chin feels a little bit tucked in. And if you're not used to meditating with your eyes open, I suggest that you close your eyes. So in this posture, allowing yourself to settle, allowing yourself to ask yourself how you're feeling, what feeling tone do you have, what have you brought with you to this meditation? Are you calm? Are you anxious? Are you happy? Are you sad? Whatever is the case, that's absolutely fine. We're just noticing the content of your mind, the content of your thought is not of interest. Just noticing it without judgment and coming into a sense of the body and the breathing and the rhythm of the breathing. So being aware of ourselves, being aware of our internal landscape, being aware of any sounds or any sensations, and not paying undue attention to those, not pushing them away, but not drawing them towards us in any way, and then taking our attention when we're ready to the breath and to the rhythm of the breathing in the body. Now we will start the mindfulness of breathing. So paying attention to the rhythm of the breathing. And as we pay attention to that rhythm, noticing the breath coming into the body, expansion of the chest and the diaphragm, the breath comes to a still point and then the out-breath happens through to the end of the out-breath. We have another brief still point before the breath comes in again. So an expansion and contraction in a gentle rhythm. And what we do is we bring a count to the breath. So we breathe in, we breathe out. At the end of the out breath, just as it comes in to close, we count 1. Breathe in, breathe out. Count 2, just as the breath closes down. Breathe in, breathe out. Count 3, very light touch with the count. And we go on up until we reach 10. And then we start again at 1 and through again to 10. So just let's have a go at doing that. Breathing and counting each breath from 1 to 10 and then back again to 1. If you find yourself drifting off into thought, that's absolutely fine. The mind does that, the mind thinks. So what we do is we congratulate ourselves for noticing that the mind has drifted away, and then come back, start the count again at 1. Counting through to 10 and starting again, and then through to 10 again. If you drift off with the counting, that's fine also. Just come back and start again at 1. So just being clear that whatever is happening in your head at the moment is fine. If your head is full of thought, that's fine. There are plenty of opportunities then to come back, to notice and come back to the counting of the breath. We're not trying to stop the mind. We're just trying to come into direct experience as often as we need to, whenever we notice we've drifted away. So the counting of the breath doesn't take up a great deal of the breath itself. So just noticing the trajectory of the breath, breathing in, breathing out, and it's just at the end of the out breath we count 1, and so on. The rest of the time we're just noticing the expansion and contraction that goes with the in-breath and the out-breath. Paying attention to the sensations that we can feel, whatever they may be. And allowing that rhythm to continue just as it is. And now we're about to move into the second part of the mindfulness of breathing. So remaining in posture, paying attention to the breath. We drop the counting. Allow the breath to be exactly as it is, and stay with the rhythm of the breath, paying attention to that. So you might notice that there are all sorts of sensations that go with the breath, not just the rhythm of the breathing, but sensations in the mouth or the nose, of the air as it comes in and leaves the body, sensations in the throat and in the lungs, but also in the rest of the body. So we'll have a sense of contraction and expansion of the chest, and also a sense of movement of the body against our clothing, maybe a little bit of movement in the shoulders and the back. So quite a lot going on as we breathe. Just sticking with the rhythm of that and paying attention to the breath as we breathe in and breathe out, coming into present experience, present moment experience of what's happening right now, without judgment. Again, if you find yourself drifting off into thought, just congratulate yourself for noticing that. Come back to the breath. If that's difficult, do start counting again, that's fine. If you don't need to count, that's also fine. Just being with the breath. Allowing it to be exactly as it is, not trying to change it in any way at all. Just noticing without judgment. If you find yourself getting at all uncomfortable, just rearrange yourself, adjust your posture, and come back to an alert but comfortable position. So now, in the last minute or so of this meditation, dropping any kind of attention to the breath at all, but just gently allowing all other input to come in, any sense of what's happening outside of the room, inside the room, more of a general awareness of your body. Just opening up without coming out of meditation, opening up to all experience that's happening for you now and allowing that to be just as it is. And sitting there with open attention for just a few more seconds as we finish this short meditation. So as with all meditation, not coming out of posture too quickly, not coming out of a meditation in a jarring way, but just gently coming back into the room, opening your eyes and relaxing your posture. Okay, so what we're going to do over the next 6 weeks is we're going to have a look more at this meditation practice. We're going to have some experience of it. We're going to have some deeper experience of it, hopefully. And I will explain a little bit more as time passes about what's going on with that. And we'll just explore it a little bit further. But I do want to say one or two things before we finish. So the practice here is not a practice so that you become an expert in noticing your breath. The mind training, which is what it might be called, the mind training of this is that you become more of an expert in noticing itself. So the idea of that is that if we can notice what's going on in our heads, we will have a little bit more control over what happens to us and what we do or what we might do with our mental states. So to give a little bit of perhaps a bit more of a sense of that, I'd like to say a few things about receptivity. So receptivity is an interesting thing. We do need to be receptive if we're going to meditate effectively. And what I would say about meditation and receptivity is that if we believe anything without question, then we're not receptive. And I would say that meditation needs to be approached from a position of receptivity as far as that is possible. So receptivity requires that all belief is provisional, and for the sake of meditative inquiry, it's important to drop all belief, at least for the duration of that meditation. And the reason why I say this is that if we're receptive, we are open to whatever arises. If we're not receptive, then we are closed to experience, or at least closed to some experiences. We don't know what's going to happen in meditation. We can't possibly know what's going to happen in the future. And I think that receptivity is a fundamental principle of being open to meditation and for it to have positive effects. I would say also that meditation is like getting fit. The more often you do it, the more effective you become at it, and the more effective it becomes. So I would encourage you to stick with it. I'd encourage you to have a go at meditating a few times over the course of the next week, and I'll give some more instruction. I'll give more instruction around this next week, and I hope you are well until then. And what we're going to do now is we're going to finish the day with a very short meditation, and we're going to just have a short meditation of the body and what's going on in the body. So we'll do that for a couple of minutes to end the session. Just being aware and open to all experience in the body. Have a sense of what's happening right now. What does your body feel like as you sit, whether you're in meditation posture or not? Can you experience a sense of substance, of volume, of weight, touch, temperature? What rich sensation do you have? What subtle sensation do you have? So I hope you enjoyed that session, and I look forward to seeing you again next week if you can, or at any point over the next few weeks if you feel inclined to join me for a meditation. Bye for now.